I will start doing the introductions, and then our panel host is going to take over. So would the panelists like to come up? Who you are? We have Sophie, Josephine, Damien, Laure, and Christine. Wow, so there's a lot of people. Have we got enough chairs for everybody? Let's see, that's most important. And I will just introduce each person, and then I'll jump off. So we have Sophie. Would you like to say, wave your hand, Sophie? Sophie is founder of WeTurn, first trained in the collaborative economy or at Kiss Bank Bank. Sophie found WeTurn at 28 years old with the following vision: the material has more value than the finished product. For this reason, she decided to create the anti-greenwashing label, MTR, dedicated to recycled textiles. Wow, I can't wait to hear what you have to say, Sophie. And then we have Josephine. Yep, Josephine is PhD candidate within the Federation of Haute Couture at De La Mode on traceability implementation towards sustainable and circular value chains in the fashion industry. Well, doesn't the fashion industry need that? Yes. Under the co-direction of the IFM Caring Sustainability Chair at the Institut Français de la Mode and the Arts et Métiers Institute of Technology. Excuse my French accent. Petronelle Ricard. Hi, Petronelle. Welcome. So Petronelle is in charge of eco-design. Eco-design is something we were talking about a lot this morning, because how can we change our industries if we don't get the products right at the source? And so you're in charge of eco-design, circular economy, innovation, and social projects with the ETAM group. This is going to be really interesting that we have ETAM here, because, you know, it's all about big change, and it's like we need to be having the big companies alongside the entrepreneurs and having amazing, innovative conversations. And then we have Damien Poumeret. Hi, Damien, from the Woolmark Company. Lovely to meet you. So Damien is regional manager for Western Europe at the Woolmark Company. His aim is to enhance the profitability, international competitiveness and sustainability, yes, of the Australian wool industry. That's where my dad got his wool from, Australia. And increased demand and market access for Australian wool. Committed to contributing to a vibrant, stable and profitable wool industry, Damien is in charge of supporting sustainability and fibre advocacy for the Woolmark Company through ongoing corporate activities. Okay, well, you've got a lot to answer for, Damien. We're looking forward to what you have to say. And we have Laura Betsch, co-founder of Fairly Made, a company whose mission is to improve the social and environmental impact of the textile industry. Wow, with a SaaS platform allowing brands to improve their production chains and measure the impact of their products. Amazing, awesome work. Also so hugely needed in the fashion industry. And we have Christine. Hello, Christine, who is ex-Pangaya and founder of Sustainabel. As the ex-global director of Pangaya Science, Pangaya recently launched its B2B business. Christine focused on driving a transition to an earth-positive future through disseminating cutting-edge material, science technologies to brands and suppliers. She now founded her consultancy agency called Sustainabel. Amazing. Really can't wait to hear. And you know, Pangaya is a really brilliant example of taking innovation, making it cool. And cool is a big factor into buying. So that's enabled huge take-up within the great circles to know about sustainable innovation in fibers and textiles. And then finally, we have our moderator. Hi, Maxime Delavey. Delavey, did I say it right? Yeah. Who is co-founder of Cruchon and of the newly started Fédération de la Mode Circularity. Whoa! Federation of Circular Fashion, amazing. Cruchon democratizes circular fashion by connecting professional secondhand fashion shops with activist consumers all around the world. Awesome. Enjoy your conversation, guys.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for this great introduction. It was pretty comprehensive, and so it's an honor, and thank you to all of you, sorry, for being with us today to shape the future of fashion with us with this amazing panel. I'm Maxime de la Vallée, so the co-founder of Cruchon and also the Fédération de la Mode Circulaire, Circular Fashion Federation, which is the French organization that connects and gathers all the ambitious companies, all the ambitious organizations towards the goal of democratizing and developing circularity in fashion. And actually, lucky you are, we have actually from our panel few of these ambitious leaders, ambitious initiatives, and so you will be able to discover today all these different facets and the development that is being led in these different facets of circularity in circular fashion. So an important aspect of that, and it's basically also the theme of the discussion today, but it's really well aligned with the mission of Fédération de la Mode Circulaire, that is to also promote all the collaborations between all the different aspects of circular fashion, from the big corporations like Kering, Galeries Lafayette, Printemps, who joined us since the very beginning in April 2022, but also lots of tech and innovative solutions that promote circularity. You will discover, for example, Fairly Made and WeTurn today. Also larger players like Vestiaire Collectif, who also and Le Bon Coin, who also joined us. And for sure, all the traditional circular native, I would say, companies in the fashion industry, such as vintage shops. It can be also recycling plants. The idea is that we certainly at some point consider circularity just being the reuse or the second-hand aspect, but it's not. It's all the recycling aspects, all the fact to conceive, to eco-conceive the products, all the facts also to recycle, and all this technique and strategy that needs to be put all together. So that's why also it's important to remember that this collaboration between all the ambitious leaders that we have today in this panel is key for the development of circular fashion. And actually, we've been also building with many of our members and institutional partners the Programme commun pour la mode circulaire, the common program for circular fashion that I invite you to read. There are 15 propositions and 15 areas centered and based on the discussions and the consultations with all of our members to support also this collaboration between the public and the private sector towards a more sustainable and a more circular fashion. And so you have this chance today to discover also this great panel, starting with Sophie also Pigneret, so the founder of Pignère, sorry, for the founder of WeTurn. If you want to also introduce yourself very quickly in a minute.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So I'm Sophie Pignère, founder of WeTurn. WeTurn is a young company created 2 years ago that recycles the unsold goods and textile waste from the textile industry into new collections. I will explain later.
Yeah, it would be great. Thank you, Sophie, and welcome. So Laura Betch, the founder of Fairly Made. Can you also tell us a bit more about what you do with your team at Fairly Made?
So Fairly Made is a platform to help brands into their sustainable journey. So concretely, we help brands to track all of their supply chain, to measure the impact of their products, and then to communicate to the final consumer. We are a team of 40 experts, from textile engineers to developers. And we work with brands such as LVMH, Sandro, Maje, Claudie Pierlot, and way more others. And we work hand in hand with a CSR director, with product manager to help them to be more transparent. So I'm very happy to be with all of these great people to think about key learnings and how we can do better in this very creative industry.
Thank you, Laure. Thank you. And so, Petro, we can start with Christine, if you have the mic. Christine Goulet,
yes.
so the founder of Sustainable. If you can say a bit more about your activity, Christine.
Yeah, thank you. Ditto, really happy to be here. I'm a huge fan of the Conscious Festival and have been participating and watching online, so it's always good to be back in person. So you heard I have my own consulting firm. In addition to working at Pangaea, I also did work at the Caring Group for 6 years in the sustainability department and focused on innovation. And so what I'm finding is there's so much momentum now in the space, and I really just wanted to get out there, and I'm really focusing on like how to invest in the best is what I'm saying. So how to enable investors to understand what's happening in the sustainable fashion innovation space. And on the other side with innovators, how to help them understand what brands need and make that bridge. So that's my main focus area. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Christine. Petroni Ricard from the ETAM Group.
Hello, very happy to be there too. So yeah, I work with the 4 brands of the ETAM Group. I don't know if you know, but ETAM has 4 brands. ETAM Underwear, we have Undies, Isée, and Maison 123. So ready to wear. It's a big brand because we exist since 106 years. So it's been a while. And so I'm very happy to discuss of all those subjects because we know that it's by changing big companies like us that will have the biggest impact. So very happy to discuss with you today.
Definitely, thank you very much, Petroni. Joséphine Rimans from the Fédération de la Haute Couture de la Mode. Can you tell us a bit more about the research that you are leading right now, Joséphine?
Yeah, maybe it's good to clarify because, as you know, there's so many institutions on this project. So thank you, Maxime, for the introduction, and thank you so much for the invitation. I must say that as a young researcher, I'm very happy, honored, and a bit impressed to be part of, intimidated to be part of such an impressive panel with you all today. So I'm a PhD candidate working on traceability implementation for sustainability in the fashion industry in the Fédération de la Haute Couture et de la Mode, which is a French selective federation representing the luxury and creative sector and gathering hundreds of members, both French and international. And it's a project which is co-supervised by the IFM Caring Sustainability Chair, which is headed by André Lemieux at Institut Français de la Mode School in Paris, and also the engineering school Arts et Métiers Sciences Institute of Technology in Paris. So thank you, and very happy again to be here with you all.
Thank you, Joséphine. And finally, Damien Pommeret from Woolmark.
Thanks, Maxime, and thank you for the Conscious Festival to invite us. Thank you very much, and happy to be an honor to be part of this great panel. I'm Damien Pommeret, and I'm in charge of the Western Europe activities for Woolmark. So it goes from education to marketing to industry, all different activation that all our amazing team in different capital city of Europe are doing.
Thank you very much, Damien. And yes, thank you to the Conscious Festival for organizing such a great talks, great events. It will be very important again to see here all the different facets of circularity and all the different facets of the future of fashion here. And maybe to start with a global overview of the fashion industry and the overview of the different challenges that there's also there. Maybe Christine, as you're maybe the one with the biggest experience among us.
Is that a nice?
Is it working? Yeah, great.
Is that a nice way to say I'm old? I'm the
no,
oldest
absolutely not.
Okay,
no, rather that you've been working for Caring, for Pangaea, so you've seen also these different evolution from big corporations for innovative corporations. What are the stakes for the circular and the fashion industry overall, and what are the main challenges? How do you see the upcoming trends in the modifications of this industry? Pretty wide question.
Yeah,
The
how
floor
much
is
time
yours.
do we have?
but maybe
Not
the
that
main
long.
trends.
No, I'll try to hit the highlights. So yeah, I've been working in sustainability now since 2006, so it's been quite a long time. It's been really exciting to see what's happened over the last 3 to 5 years, especially where, as we all know, it's hit the mainstream so much. Like we're seeing this past summer, the real effects that the future is now. Like these severe weather events, everything is now. And so I think people realize that, and there's a huge amount of momentum to move forward and to move forward quickly. And Sarah, when you said it's a journey, not a race, it's a race now. It's a race. So what I see that's happened really in sustainable fashion and innovation, especially over the last 7 years or so, is that there's a whole ecosystem around here. So 7 years ago, you'd have innovators who would really be just coming out of academia. Now you have SMEs. Now you have really mature businesses who are looking across the value chain from raw materials to use cases and end of life, and are professionalized in a way that you're getting big investors interested in coming in. So this is the most exciting thing, because when we have products and services that people want, and the desirability there, it will move quickly. It will really move quickly. So I think the biggest areas where we've seen progress in terms of innovation in the value chain have been at the raw material stage, so a lot around these next-gen materials, and also with this use phase end of life, so with circularity. So it's kind of bookended, and there are a couple reasons for that. One being the great amount of impact with raw materials at carrying with the environmental profit and loss. It's at 70% of impacts lie at that tier 4 raw material extraction phase. And another reason, I think, is because it's hard for brands to get leverage over their supply chain partners. So other things that I think are really key right now are that fashion brands have not traditionally been set up for innovation, and they are more and more now. They have people inside who understand material science, or people inside who are engineers in order to be able to implement a lot of these solutions. On the supply chain side, there's a movement away from just this transactional arm's length relationship to seeing that if we want to make this happen, we have to work hand in hand with our supply chain partners, and they really need to be involved in the iterations and the learnings to speed everything up. And then, of course, on the consumer end, the demand is there, and that's why that ground-up education, people asking questions, even just asking questions, drives that demand upstream, which again makes people realize this is an opportunity not only for impact but for our business to make money, and that is a key lever. So I think it's quite exciting times. So looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. So as you highlighted, Christine, there are all of these different types of actor, and again, this collaborative approach is very, very interesting. You talked about this acceleration, the fact that now it's getting to a kind of a race. At some point, this operational development will need also funding. You work a lot with different investors. What are your stakes on that? What do you think about the capacity of some investors to maybe fulfill that demand and enable this brave democratization of this new fashion world?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, but I think again, if you look, sometimes when you're talking about fashion, you're in fashion and you can forget all of the other verticals that exist. And we've seen automotive change and the electrification of vehicles. We've seen food change and, different proteins and come out that can replace regular agricultural meat, cellular agriculture, for example. We've seen it with energy. And fashion has been historically underinvested, but investors are seeing it's kind of the next frontier in terms of verticals and who is going to make this step into these new technologies, these new solutions. For years, if you look at the way we've made clothes, it hasn't changed. And now it's really changing. And I think the legislation that's coming into play is driving a lot of this as well, and making companies realize that they have to move more quickly. And the investors, are seeing this opportunity. And a lot of it's based on viewing what happened in these other verticals before.
Yeah, I see. So also that trans-sectorial aspect is very important in this innovative value chain. And so you were talking about this aspect for corporations to also adopt these new trends, especially in the circularity aspects. Petroni, you work in a big fashion corporation, ETAM Group. What are the key challenges that you see every day in the life of such a big corporation in fashion?
Firstly, I apologize for my accent. I don't speak as well as you, Christine. We face a lot of challenge, as you may know. And as we are 4 very big brands, we have the duty to change and to be like example in the fashion industry and in the mass market industry. I'm not going to talk about all the challenges we have to face because we'll have for a long time. But the main one I would like to talk about today would be a change of production, so changing our production into sustainable production. The second one is sustainable sourcing, so directly linked to sustainable production. And the third one is circularity. Those are, for me, topics very, very important. In very small words, what can I say about the change of production? At ETAM Group, we began by 2 things. The first thing is to train people. So you have to train designers, product managers, purchasers, because if the people who are working in this industry don't know how to change the way they product, how to change, how to integrate eco-design in the way they develop products, they won't change because they don't know. So for me, it was really the first thing we did, and we are still doing each month. The second thing is to change the production. We really changed the how do we define sustainability in the Group ETAM. So we really made a very strong and very strict referentiel. We don't accept all labels. We don't accept all certifications. We really made a lot of research to find the one that for us were the more reliable. And we train to the purchaser and designer to know how to check the proof and to took like the transactions, the scope certificates. There are a lot of things to add in your daily work if you want really to be sure that the fiber you are using, the product you are making, is made in a good way. So we are working on this. 2, we are working on the sustainable process, because as you know, it's a very, very like a dying. It's like the worst thing today in the textile industry. Second thing is like sourcing. So sustainable sourcing, as you said very well. Choosing the right raw materials are very important. So we are making a lot of research on this topic. We have a biggest sourcing team today. We have like 4 people working on sustainable sourcing and searching and looking for innovation, and real innovation, not the biodegradable one or compostable or thing like that. We are really like, we want to find the good solutions. And the third thing is circularity. And so we have a lot of projects in the ETAM Group. Maybe we will have the time to talk after, but we launched the second hand in lingerie for bras. We are launching it too with Easy, with swimwear, and with undies. So we try to be part of circularity. As you know, a bra is impossible to recycle today because there are like 30 parts, components. So we try to find and to make research to find solutions to integrate them in a real circular buckle.
Wow, and so that's only 3 pillars from the overall CSR strategy,
yeah, we
right?
have 9. But
Wow. Okay, so that's also this kind of challenge at scale that can lead also such big corporations. And indeed, we'll have the time at the end of the talk to also describe you all these challenges on the second-hand aspect for lingerie. But great. And you mentioned also the traceability aspect, right? Maybe Laure from Fairly Made, you can also tell us a bit more what you do, but also what you do with your brands that you partner with. What's exactly your solution, and how you improve their supply chain all over the value chain from the production to the distribution.
Yeah, actually, one of our, I would say, the biggest part of our work is to do all the data collection and to speak to the supplier and to be able to get back to the raw material. So in terms of key learnings, I would say there are three main things. The first thing is that, as you were saying, there is really a change of scale, I would say, for the brands. We see that at the beginning, brands were asking only for to analyze like small capsule collections, but now it's really more long-term and global. They want us to analyze 100% of their collection, and even big groups such as SMCP, for example, we analyze all of their collections. So that's why also you need a tool to be able to do it at scale with experts inside also to help you to do this data collection and then to explain it to the final consumer. Then the second thing is that it's still a complex thing to do, traceability, to get back to the raw material, like it's really a lot of time. And we see every day like CSR director who say, but how can I do all of this new work because of the coming legislation with the same budget and limited resources? So this is why having a tool helping you to do this is quite important and quite helpful also for this brand. We estimate that it can save like 2 people time working. And we have interesting numbers, like when we start to work with a brand, they multiply by 3 the number of suppliers they are working with. So it's a huge work that we are doing. And the third thing is that impact is not always where we think it is. And I have example of a brand that were making a very nice pullover. They had a part in conventional polyester, and they put so much energy to change this small part in polyester, in recycled polyester. And after seeing like the percentage of the impact of this small change, they realized that they put so much energy to do something that was not what was the biggest ledger for them. So really here, they said like it was very good to have some glasses to see where to put the ledger in place, thanks to the work we do.
Okay, great. That's a great innovation. And actually, in the current context, also with all this energy crisis that is actually also modifying the way we can source the product, the way we can also trace our value chain. Do you have any key learnings about this change in the context, in the way you accompany and support large corporations' traceability strategy?
Yeah, you're talking about the energy crisis, and I would speak more from a supplier side because we're also very nearby the suppliers because we are getting information from them. And we were actually in Les Vosges, in France, and we were visiting a dyeing factory, and they were saying that some of their raw material increased their price by 1,000 in 2 months. So it's
1,000%.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like huge. It was about the raw material, and so it's like a huge thing to say as a client, I'm going to stay with this factory even if like price are way higher for the same thing as what I was buying before. But here we see really that brands now think long term, and it's not a matter of just trying to find a new supplier just to reduce some small cents and like after you don't know well the partners you're working with. So here, once again, we really see that brands are more into like long-term partnerships, and it's great to see that sometimes, like even if in this case, like price were way more higher, but they decided to stay with this factory.
Okay, great. So even in this kind of context, Fairly Made can also help all the brands to control their pricing and be able to trace them. Do you have an example of your tool? Can you also showcase this thing live, or?
So I bring the jacket that I'm wearing today. So I'm gonna remove it. And I'm gonna fake scan. So the regie can also do it in the same time. So this nice jacket is from Maj. So everybody can see it. And so in their shops, they actually on the labels, there are some QR codes. You cannot see it right now, but it will arrive. And so there are some QR codes where you can have more information on the back end of the product. So you have information on the material, then on the traceability. So for instance, here you will have a traceability grade of 5/5. So it's quite huge, and in this case, we started only by knowing one supplier, the manufacturing, so the last one of the chain. And thanks to the work of our engineers, we got back until the raw material. So we showcase then to the, nice. So first, yes, we start with a nice picture of the garment. Then you have the traceability grade that I was mentioning. After that, you have a tree showing like the countries of manufacturing, the kilometers in between the different steps, and also the certificates of each of the factories. And then at the end, you have the environmental impact. So this is a result of a LCA. So you have the CO2 emission, the water pollution, and the non-renewable energy. And finally, you have a recyclability aspect, which is something that can be adaptable for the brand. And so the idea is for the brands to be way more transparent for their consumer. What you can see here is the top part of the iceberg, but then there is also all of the work that we are doing for the brand to arrive to this final result. And this is it's a platform where you have all of your products, all of the supplier linked to their products, all of the certificates also linked to all of the factories, and you can like this monitor your factories and also see where are the biggest impact on your products and try to find ways to improve the impact of your product. So if you go in shops to one of the brands of SMCP, I encourage you to scan them, the product, to make a more conscious buy when you go to see them.
Great, thank you so much for this demo, Laure. And Petroni, you also mentioned traceability in the strategy of ETAM Group. Have you already been trying to implement this kind of tool, may it be Fairly Made or any other kind of tool that would enable the brands from ETAM Group to integrate that kind of traceability solution?
So yes, as Laure said, now all the brands must do that because of the AGEC law. So we are of course talking with Fairly Made for some of the brands of the group. And for us, it's been 2 years we are making this kind of traceability. It's not as big as Fairly Made is offering to the brands today, but we are the first brand that for ETAM ANDs, we launched our product transparency. Every product is linked to the. No, how can I explain it? Okay, on the website, each product has the name of the supplier that made the product, all the information, the localization, the number of workers, the audit results too. And we put 2 video, but not like marketing video with people laughing and playing. It's just like really the real life of the workers working on each product. You can see it for ETAM ANDs. So that's the first time, in our industry, we have a lot of competition, and no brands had done that before because we have some technique very particular, very specific, and we just offered to all our competitors to know where we are doing the last part of the products. So that was the first thing to do, and of course we are going further now, and we will develop all the value, the chain of value.
Great, and that's a nice move. But okay, great. So all the corporations are moving forward. It's also what Christine said. It's getting faster and faster. But also in the scientific world, it's moving fast. Joséphine, so Can you tell us a bit more about the topic that you've been working on this recent months, years even, and how it's going?
Yeah, actually, I forgot to mention that it's a 3 years PhD project. I started in 2021, and like I was saying, the main theme of the PhD is really on how to implement traceability across the product life cycle towards more sustainable and circular value chains in the fashion industry. So basically, kind of set the context. It's really applied research, so it means that I'm working within the federation. I'm participating in several traceability industry and project, but also private initiatives that really feed my research, impulse my research. So it's kind of a dialogue between the project and my research, and a lot of is happening right now on the topic, like we were saying. And basically, the three main questions I'm attempting to address through this PhD is the first one: what traceability for sustainability entails in the fashion industry, and where do we stand? Sounds like a general question, but actually when we talk about traceability, it covers multiple type of tools, multiple initiatives. So we really conducted to give a concrete example of what we are doing, because sometimes research is a bit hard to understand what is happening behind. So we conducted a comprehensive state-of-the-art, for instance, on the topic, and really across the entire product life cycle, looking at what is said in scientific research, but also available reports, white papers, and so on. And because actually it was so difficult to analyze everything, because Petroni were mentioning that we have the certifications, we have traceability digital tools, we have also physical traceability tools. So we developed an analysis framework really based on the key traceability use cases we identified, really to be able to decode existing research tools, initiatives, and to clarify the topic. The second question is really to identify all the challenges on traceability in the fashion industry, and maybe to give another examples. We talk a lot about upstream traceability now, but we also attempted to explore what we usually call the downstream traceability, so past the distribution until the end of life. So we conducted a qualitative study last year on the end of life, and actually I had the pleasure to interview Sophie for this study, and we really explored textile recycling challenges to scale textile recycling in industry in Europe, highlighting critical lack of traceability on product components at the end of life. So we also have very important traceability issues past the distribution until the end of life of the product. And the last question I'm attempting to solve is how brands can set up a traceability roadmap as part of their sustainability strategy, and really looking at their level of maturity, because we can see that, and I think Laure can also elaborate on this, but we can see that there are various levels of maturity in the industry in terms of advancements of traceability. And so in the next few months, I will be working on a traceability maturity assessment to really be able to for brands to set up a roadmap, considering, for instance, the type of information system they have in place, the type of information already collected, the level of relationship with suppliers, for instance. So all this type of criteria we'll try to evaluate.
Okay, very interesting. And from your current findings, so for sure it's not completely done yet, but from your current findings in these 3 different scopes of traceability, to your mind, and with the different results that you've got so far, what will be the next aspect of how traceability will continue to brings out a real breakthrough within the fashion industry? Is there any first findings that you have to share today, and on which you can start to build a vision on this?
Yeah, I'm halfway there, so I will end my PhD in 2023. So and it's very fast-moving topic, like you were saying, Christine. It's a race. So maybe in 2023 we will be far away. But I think today we talk a lot. We are really focusing on this upstream traceability. So trying to improve traceability over the production steps, really to improve visibility, transparency over the production steps, to be able to evaluate risks, monitor impacts, which are indeed very, very important on the production stages. But very important also, like I was saying, to improve the environmental and social management of the supply chains. So at the end, better design, better sourcing, better buying decisions. So this is the power, I would say, of traceability. But I think the next step, and that we will see very soon, I think, it's how do we push further traceability downstream, so past the distribution, because traceability is also presented as a key lever to enhance product and material circularity in the industry. And I'm opening the door to another hot and big topic in the industry, which is the product digital passport. We talk more and more, and actually which is targeted by forthcoming policies. And basically it's the ambition to be able to keep track of products past the distribution in order to enhance consumers' information, but also enhance consumers' engagement in circular business model by facilitating access to reuse, repair services through your mobile phone by just scanning your products, and also at the end of life to be able to convey information to direct the products to the appropriate recycling route. So
yes, so very interesting aspect on this this European digital passport for products. For maybe a bigger contextualization out of that, it's been announced by the European Commission in the textile strategy in March 2022, and it's opening a wide range of innovation, both in the traceability aspect, but also in all the circular and reuse, recycle, and repair aspect. And so, talking about this regulations, also the role of the regulators in democratizing new ways of thinking about fashion and thinking about the economy at large. Maybe Laure or Joséphine or Petroni, on the traceability aspect, what has the recent regulation brought out? Maybe the Loi AGEC, for example, in France, and maybe at European level. Has it been a speed up or a booster for your kind of solutions and the work that you're leading currently?
Yeah, we spoke about it, but to go a bit more in details, there is the European level and there is the French level. What is great is that France, for once, is really in advance. So with the Loi AGEC and the décret, which will be applied in the 1st January 2023, so like really tomorrow, brands will have to put on their products, like at least 3 countries, the manufacturing, the dyeing or printing, and the weaving or knitting. So it implies actually a lot of work behind to get all this information and to be able to do this traceability. And they will have to put this information either on the labels or the hang tags or websites through QR codes like I showed. And then there are also things about that you cannot say. So to avoid greenwashing, you won't be able to say that a product is biodegradable, that a product is respectful of the environment. And also, you cannot say that something is recyclable if you don't respect like 5 big criteria. So this is the main things coming very soon. And then you also have the affichage environnemental, which will be a grade to like represent the impact on the environment that a product is making. And at the European level, it will be a bit the same, but with some points. But it's great because it's like a bit accelerating all of this. And pushing brands to like change their habits, because we see that you were saying like the habits of how do you buy products, like it's changing now, but before it was like not a matter. So it's great to see that now it's more long-term strategies, and it's becoming a matter of how to be like good with regulation. So brands won't have any other options but to do so.
So again, this collaboration between the public and the private sector will be also decisive on this aspect.
Yes.
And Petroni,
Just,
you had something to share?
On the European footprint, I don't know, yeah, it's working. On the European footprint, so for example, at Groupe Etam, we are working with Fairly Made on 6 products, and they are like, they go further than the Loi AGEC and the French law, because it takes 16 criteria to analyze the footprint of each product. So the Loi AGEC really made the brands accelerate the way they were transparent or not with the clients. But I think in like 2 years, every brand will have to respect the laws imposed by the European Commission, and it's a very good thing because it makes us move faster than some brands wanted to move.
Christine?
Yeah, maybe just to add on the regulation that in the US as well, New York has a proposed Fashion Act, and any business that's selling in New York has certain disclosure requirements, or there are penalties to face. And even the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, which governs public companies, is proposing a law around climate risk disclosure, which means that companies need to disclose Scope 3 emissions, which is 70 to 95% of their total impacts, which is upstream and also downstream, as you were saying. So a huge amount of angst, and the American Apparel and Footwear Association actually wrote to the SEC saying, we need more time, we need a couple more years, and we don't know if we'll ever know our Scope 3 impacts. So it's a real angst and concern, primary concern for businesses on how they're going to respond to this.
Very, very interesting to also have this perspective from the other side of the Atlantic. And yes, it's moving fast, but not only in Europe, everywhere in the world. From this regulation perspective, from this processes also of fabrication of eco-conception, sorry. But what about also the raw material in all the aspect of circularity? Damien and Sophie, you work both into this very specific side of the innovations that is based on the raw materials aspects. What are your views on the future of fashion based on this raw material perspective? What is the current stake and the current state of art on this innovative aspect? Sophie or Damien? Yeah.
So first of all, I wanted to get back a little bit to the video we saw and you guys saw earlier. First of all, I wanted to thank Sarah a lot for this fantastic introduction and for sharing your family experience and your background of the wool industry. Maxime, you're talking about raw materials. It's where there is a lot to do first because it's a large impact on the product life and on the footprint. Why we're doing this campaign right now is because we realize that 85% of the consumer have no idea what the garments are made of when they buy them. So, of course, you did a conscious choice by coming here today, and I'm sure you guys are a reflection behind your consumption. But we have all to remind and to keep in mind that the reality is that 85% worldwide of the consumer have no idea of what the garment is made of. That's why this video is so straightforward. It's like and it's maybe also the message you saw by getting into this festival, what your garment are made of and what is behind it. So, of course, it's maybe the first thing, according to us, would be on what is made of, because it's pretty simple. And after there's a whole type of question of where it is made and how it is made and how about the people that are making it. So that's just the first initial step. Just to give you a bit of context, is the Woolmark is a non-profit organization. As Sarah said, it's been there for a long time. It was even there in 1954, putting Yves Saint Laurent and Karl Lagerfeld for the first time in front of the press. So it's been a long time and long history of organization, but today we are focusing on sustainability. We're here to service the full industry, so from the farm to fashion, and in between there's a lot of different actors. Of course, we have Maxime, you were talking about circularity. We hear a lot of the brands and press talking about circular fashion, for example. And that's a term that is coming from marketing. We hear more and more. We're not really comfortable about this, because to be circular as a fashion, you need to be circular about your raw material. We believe that raw material can be circular. Fashion can be eco-design. They can have process. They can be certified, but not fully circular. That's an important thing, because we're talking about brainwashing. Sorry, but not brainwashing, greenwashing. But there's a lot. It's a bit the same though. But there's a lot of action in communication that right now, and with the law, the AGEC law, and all this, we'll have to be more prepared. And the brands and any communication, marketing direction tomorrow will not be able to say completely things that are not directly linked to science, to fact. And that, I think, it's a revolution, and certification in raw material, in all the supply chain. It's a good thing. It's a huge challenge for the industry, but it's a good thing. And Woolmark is part of this. So we represent the wool growers in Australia. So 85% of the total fine merino wool is produced in Australia. So today, if you're wearing a sweater in wool, it's really likely that it's coming from Australia. Those families are living sometimes 7 generations producing and focusing on doing wool, while in Europe, for example, we are producing, we have sheep, but we do meat with it. In Australia, for hundreds of years, they're doing wool. And it's not on the same type of environment also. It's really extensive, huge land. To give you an example, in Australia or in France or let's say in Europe, a farm is usually like 80 hectares in average, could be 200. 2 months ago, I went to a farm in Australia that was 40,000 hectares, and they do only sheep there. So it's completely different model of doing of growing wool and doing agriculture. After, there's a lot of practices that need to be evolved. All the shipping, all the industry, where it's a huge challenge for us, and we're here. And I think being part of this panel today, where you have a brand, you have sustainability experts, you have federations, all together, we need to team up and to keep and fight for this change.
Thank you very much, Damien, for mentioning that. You said something very interesting about also this aspect that raw materials needs to be also part of the entire innovations to circularize also fashion and being able to leave this kind of greenwashing aspects to really move toward a real circularity. Sophie, you also work on this raw materials aspects in the circularity of fashion. Can you tell us a bit more about your views on that and how these innovations in raw materials can for sure brings out more circularity into fashion?
Sure. Yes, just to start, let me give you a bit of context to better understand about the recycling needs. So today, each year, we are destroying millions of tons of textiles for nothing, and only 1% of the textile waste are recycled in the real closed loop. Also, since January this year, this is now illegal in France to destroy the unsold products, unsold goods and textiles. This was the first part of the AGEC law in France. And there is no solution at this time in place for the brands to recycle them. So, and even if they wanted to recycle them, they could not, because there is nothing to help them for the logistics and the process. So this is why we created Return 2 years ago, to tackle this problem. Just to focus a bit on what we are doing. Return is the first service that recycles the unused textiles of the industry in the real closed loop. So it means that we offer today a complete and secure solution to brands to transform their high-valued stocks into new yarns and new textiles. So we are the first actor in the circular economy today that has integrated all the steps of the process, from the collect to eco-design, because this is the only way to measure the impact and follow the traceability at the end. So just today we are collaborating with the 15 brands, like VMH, from luxury brands to middle market. And we are based in France, Italy, Portugal, and Spain. And we are, today we are facing like a model which is destroying a lot of value. And we believe at Return that we need to offer a new organization in the retail offer. We have to offer something new. I mean, when you go in a retail store today, you find only new products, new collections. And what we want to, in our opinion, we need to diversify these offers. And we think that if you want to help the industry to have a lower impact, you should have tomorrow 1/3 new product, 1/3 second-hand, and 1/3 recycled materials into the stores. And to achieve this, one of the solutions is to create new supply chain, recycling supply chain, fully dedicated to the raw material, the circulation of the raw material, the product before it goes to store and after it's coming from stores. And yes, this is actually what we are doing at Return. And we think that the value is the raw material. So we can't afford to waste it. And this is yes, what our vision at Return today. And because it makes sense economically, and also yes, it makes sense economically and for the environment. This is like a pure sense.
I love your vision about this split, about 1/3 recycle, 1/3 reuse, and 1/3 eco design and new production. But that will be like easily repairable. I love it because it's basically highlighting also the evolution of business model that needs to be bring out by such innovations on the raw materials. What are the different possibilities for big corporations, for also new brands, to maybe reinvent business models around this raw material innovations that you're building, Sophie, and you're building also, Damien?
Yeah, the idea between this vision of 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 is to place the raw material in the heart of the business model, because this is where everything, the value is. Like as in the introduction of Return, for us, the value is not the finished goods, because it's only about marketing of the brand or something else. I don't know. I don't care if your T-shirt is cutting here, here, or here. I just see the cotton, and the cotton is like he's having a life before going into the store and after going out of the store, and so we can create value on raw material and not only on the lifetime of the product into the store, for one season. This is like, yeah, we can do much more value.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I will add to this that according to the raw material you choose, we are doing studies, and if you choose a raw material that is natural, also if you don't go for a fast fashion material, something that is well produced, maybe you put a little bit more money on it, the product will end up having a longevity much more. It means like you will keep it longer, you will wear it much more time, you will recycle it or sell it or give it to your family or to your daughter, and you will, at the end, the full cycle of the product is way better. So there is, and I really like the fact that you said that there is a reality that is economic, of productivity and of course benefit, and there is nothing will change against if it's not profitable for the company and for the economy. But it makes sense, it's available. Of course, it needs a huge change in the way we consume, or it needs awareness. It needs, of course, collect, and the fact that garments, when we create them, we eco-design them. That's the fact that we end up having product, as you said, that will be able to be recycled, or maybe having a longer longevity. But it's possible. So that's, I think, the major thing we want to say today. It's and if you're there, because I think you believe it's possible too.
And I would like to add something, just because the challenge for the recycling industry now is just to make it possible for people to better understand what is recycling, that it can be desirable, it can be good quality, because in the mind of everybody, recycling is about the weight, it's about the trash and bottles. It's not sexy, it's not desirable, and our mission is really to bring the consumers to better understand what is it could be very noble to buy recycling textiles if they are really qualitative. And I just would like to finish for my part, because I forgot to put it before. Just because after 2 years of return that we have created this European channel, recycling channel, we are finally closing the loop, so we can show that it's possible to collect unsold goods, recycle them, and create new collections. And this autumn, we are launching the first collection made of recycling unsold goods. And we are making it in partnership with Fairly Made, with the labels and traceability and everything. So we are very proud of it.
I think we can applause.
I just wanted to add something about, I totally agree with what you said about the value of raw materials, but I think something we forget is that the finishing is something very, very important too. So when we are talking about eco-design, we think about, okay, we have to make 100% cotton, organic cotton, for example. But if this T-shirt made by 100% organic cotton has finishing, with a chemical substance, and often there is this case, it's going to be very bad for the recycling of this. So I think when we talk about eco-design, we really have to think about raw materials and processes, like the vegetable, vegetable tanning, dyeing, sorry. So yeah, I think we have to talk about raw materials and finishing in the eco-design process.
And if we continue also all along the value chain, talking also about the reusability, we mentioned that very quickly at the beginning of the talk. You said, Petroni, that you're also testing this kind of reuse and second-hand offer on the lingerie specifically. What are the different challenges out of that? And also maybe, Christine, if you can add about your global views on how you believe the reuse market will be able to then continue to grow over the time. It will be very interesting to close the loop in the end.
So as we said, eco-design is a solution of today and tomorrow. But for the product we already made. So eco-design is like making a product 100% recyclable and that lasts longer. But for the one we have already made, we have to find some solutions. So that's why at ETAM, like, we realize a lot of women don't know what to do with their bras. And we're like, okay, so non-bras are recyclable today, except a little part of them. And so we launched like 500 bucks in our stores to ask women, but clients or non-clients, to bring us back the bras. And we worked with an adapted company that worked with disabled people that we trained to sort by and to wash all the bras, so of every brand. So we received like 90,000 bras in Paris. So all with a reverse logistic, we took them, we washed them, and the one in very good states, we are giving them after washing and sorted them to women in need. A part of them are still sleeping in our warehouse because we are working in R&D innovations to find solutions to make them valuable, but not just to make no downcycling. We want to make a real upcycling. So we are working with Berkeley, for example, to find solutions. And now we launched the first store of secondhand for bras, because we realized like it's really like mentally something like we think it's something very intimate, and so you can't buy a bra that have already been taken by someone. And finally, we found out that yeah, there is a market. We don't do that to make money, because 100% of the benefits we make, we give them to NGOs that we help in France. So we really did that to break the mental wall for underwear, second-hand underwear. And now we are going to make that for the swimwear too.
Okay, great news. Great news. Also in fighting these kind of stereotypes in second-hand and proving that something is possible out of that. And Christine, maybe if you would add something on that.
Yeah, so I think on some of these circular business models, the resale and the rental, it's one of those situations, sometimes sustainability and the financial return, the impact return and the financial return butt heads. And often, like when you need to buy a more sustainable material, it costs more, and that's really difficult. When it comes to a lot of these circular business models, it does present a new revenue opportunity for the brands, because they have stuff that's sitting in excess inventory that now they can sell it. The margin is going to be a little smaller in terms of profit, but it still represents a new opportunity. It represents tapping into a potentially different segment. If it's luxury and you can sell it secondhand, you're going to tap into a younger generation who might not have the disposable income for luxury yet. So all of this makes it, I think, something very appealing for companies to adopt. And the impact story is a great one, but one also where I think we need to be really careful and collect data. Because, as you said, Laura, which I love, sometimes you think, oh, this is where the problem is, and then you get the LCA or you see the data and you go, oh, that's where the problem is. And I think when it comes to circular business models, there is a lot of assumption that it's going to be better. And I just think it also does need to be verified, and that brands and consumers need to think really carefully about this. So the way that the programs are being constructed by the brands, looking at the transportation emissions, looking at dry cleaning, or all of this. You have to take it into account. And same on the consumer side, what's happening with the disposable income that you're receiving when you're selling something or when you're buying something at a lower price, and what are you doing with that? And I gave the example earlier, but are you flying to Rome because you have more money? Are you buying a second pair of jeans on Shine that's less expensive? So it really is important that we're considering the data in all of these changes that we're making.
Very, very insightful to also take this data-oriented scope in having to assess also the evolution and also the trends in circularity. Time is flying, so we have 10 more minutes for a few questions maybe in the room. Thank you again to all the panel for all these insights about your views and about the future of fashion. Maybe some of you have a few questions to ask to the panel. Yes.
Thank you very much for all of your explanations. I just have a quick question for maybe all of you. How do you integrate the fact that consumers need to be more aware and everything, but also need to understand that the way we are consuming today is not right and it's not correct? How do you balance it within your business models, if it makes sense? If my question makes sense? Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if you guys want to start. I just going to quickly say that's a good question. It's on our side, wool is 1% of the total fiber in textile. So, of course, we really believe we need to consume less. That's the first thing, and that's, I think, all business understand, even if our business is to protect the consumption of wool, but even for wool we need to consume less. After, we believe that if the product is well done and the customer is ready to put a little bit more, maybe 30, 35, 45% more, the margin will be good and the turnover will be good also. So there is no there's a big change to do, but there's no conflict if we manage to explain to the customer why and how we have to consume. I think on our side, it's a message we're having. Honestly, we didn't have this message 5 years ago because most of the brand we're representing were not ready to have this message. And even like having a campaign just like the one that are on right now, we know that there is still a lot of blends, so it's a mix of plastic and natural fibers. But even if we start step by step of getting like a little bit less, it's already a good step. So I think it's what we need to explain, and I think the revolution is already on.
Yeah, I think education of the client and communication with the clients is very important. At the same time, as you are a big brand and you produce a lot of products, you have to reduce your production and to make and to develop products that last longer. And to for us, for me, like something very important is to give all the information to the clients to make the product last longer too, because there are one part as a brand we don't we can handle, but we are there to help the clients to keep longer its clothes and to make it last more.
And by our side, we have learned a lot the last 2 years about recycling, the process, the logistics, supply chain, and traceability. And everything that we do at Return, we do it only if we are B2B focused, but we do it at the end for the consumers, like for the consumers better understand everything. So to connect the brands, the logisticians, the recyclers, and at the end the consumers. So to illustrate this, we are launching very soon like a label. It's not a label, it's like a brand, ingredient brand like Gore-Tex. Like a logo that the consumer will find on every product that our clients will launch with our recycled materials, and we will manage all the storytelling about the traceability and the good information, the right informations, and the right impact, the right traceability. So it will be like a trust level and no greenwashing. Like we are taking we manage it for the clients in order that the brands don't do it by their side, like with the wrong information, for example.
Thank you very much for this question. Indeed, there is also this need to make the consumption evolve, and so the corporations and the different innovative solutions must work and collaborate on that to also make evolve this consumption. We have maybe the time for a very last question. If yes, just there, or maybe two if we can do short, but.
Hi, my name is Nezma from Le Lab Plus. I have a question about fixing the products, so recommendable for clothing, and I want to know if you have insight for B2B to think about this, about the circularity about the clothes before recycling the clothes, just to fix the product first.
So about fixing and repairing the products.
Yes, exactly.
If you have any views on the refurbishment of clothing in at the industrial scale, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's linked to the recyclability aspects, and from eco-conception view, the first thing to do is to use material like in 100% that are recyclable. So, and then second thing also is to use as less external components as you can, like as less zip, as less button, and then it will make it more circular. But still, we are working in a like very creative industry, so it's the right balance to choose in between something that will be still appealing and that will be as circular as possible.
Yes, because sorry,
No,
just
go
wanted
ahead.
to know that because the thing that fixing the projects before recycle the clothes, so that's why I think that this is very important to think about that before, like making and concepting the project.
Yeah, repairing a product and making and keeping him in the first way he was been done.
The most sustainable.
It's the most sustainable way to reuse a product as it is. It's the best way today to make to have less impact because you don't use more energy or more.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to? I'll go after.
So just the repairing industry is going bigger and bigger today in textile, but the problem for the big companies are that it costs a lot, and so we have to find like a balance between how much it's going to cost for us and how much we're going to have to put the price higher to the clients, how much the clients is ready to pay for products repaired.
And you have also to train your employees also.
Exactly, it's what we are doing every day.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and on that, I might add there are a few innovators working on it. So in the US, you have a company called Trove, which works with brands and helps to repair items and then put them on for resale in parts of the store. Or sometimes I think they have their own stores, which are secondhand. There's another one called Yellow Octopus, which is doing it. And in the UK, there's one called The Restory, which is doing it for bags and shoes. So I think you are seeing more kind of third parties who are focusing on this repair piece and how they can work with brands on repairing. And then other companies which are like, Taking Back, H&M and others even have in some of their flagship stores some repair facilities. And there's a company also in the UK which is working, I think, with some of the couturier. Yes, Tilly, that's right.
Tilly, yeah.
So
they're part of a federation, and indeed,
okay. So do you want to explain their model?
Yeah, for sure. They basically connect different repairers, les couturiers, cordonniers, etc. And they partner also with big retailers, such as Galeries Lafayette. They recently announced a partnership with them, and so they basically enable through their network of couturiers, réparateurs, to basically repair and fix the different issues that can happen on different clothing, enabling such a way to extend the life of specific pieces. But
and for example, for the bras, we are now working at a time with Abracadabra Upcycling. It's a brand in the north that are repairing all the bras and reselling them. And so, for example, we give them some bras that are a little bit broken, and they repair them and they sell them, but we don't take any money from that. But that make them last longer.
Okay, so this is just the solution for B2C or B2B? Just last question.
Both.
So both. So it's a B2B2C.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
But I think that also to speak about B2C, it's important that everybody, as final consumer, now we must think about repairing our clothes. We have been unused to do it, but let's think about our grandma. And it's true that before we were learning this at school. Now it's not the case anymore. But I think that everybody should buy une aiguille et du fil and to be able to learn how to do these small things, but that can make last longer a garment that you like.
Indeed, education will also be the key out of that. So you understand that it's a pretty wide topic, this topic of circularity. It's trending up on very different scope, repairing, reusing, thinking about the raw materials, the traceability. And we have lots of players that are ambitious, that are engaged and involved in this evolution. So thank you very much to all of you for your time, for your questions also. We'll be building the future of fashion all together, and feel free to come also at the end of the conference, of the talk, to ask us your remaining questions. Thank you very much all. Thank you to our great panelists.
Thank you so much. What an amazing panel. I've got so many things written down here. What is it made from? How is it made? Where is it made? Our future is all about teaming up together to fight this and to come up with new solutions. We all have a duty to change. It's about education and learning. Data collection is key. And urgency. I've been told. It's not a journey, everyone. It is a race. Now it's a race. What I care about is that it's done mindfully as well, that no one gets burnt out on the way. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.